Hello everyone, my name is Blue1442, and today I want to tell you about a game I bought called Reassembly. Reassembly was developed by Anasoptera Games and was released on Early Access on November 24th of 2014 and was officially released on February 15th of 2015. It is an open-world shooter where the goal is to be the only faction remaining. The main gameplay consists of collecting resources, acquiring or upgrading how much you can put onto a ship, creating your own ship, and using it to conquer the map you spawned in. Now when you start a game, you are able to choose between 9 different factions, from the default Terrans, to the Recess Producer Farmers, to the Space Police of the Crystalline ships. Each faction has different weapons and augments they can use to create the ships in the game. All factions as well has strengths and weaknesses depending on their designs. For example, the Farmers, as mentioned previously, can easily produce and collect resources, but their thrusters are really lousy. When loaded into the game, you have to collect resources, represented by the purple letter R here and the purple indigo orbs. These resources are created by these plants over here, but they don't spawn the resources, they turn into them. But in order to make sure that resources are always abundant, the plants shoot out little spores that, when hit to an appropriate surface like an asteroid, will begin to grow. Once you have collected as many resources as you can, head towards the satellites to get credits in exchange for the amount of resources you gathered up. These credits can do a lot of things, but most likely they will be used to upgrade the ships you can create. They can also research new augments so that you can add them to all ships. But you can also use credits to increase your P value. Each tile on the ship palette, besides the hull, each have a P value on it. A ship can only hold so much P at a time. This makes it so you can't create giant ships right at the start of the game, making you have to work for it. The shipbuilding mechanic in the game is one of the most simple you can think of, but that simplicity helps in the grand scheme of things. This game uses a point-to-point based system. In other words, each tile has little dots on them. Any other dot in an available tile can have them be built onto it. But like I said earlier, everything but the hull has a P value. For instance, the generator takes 30p, while the rocket launcher takes 57. Because of this simple design, the ships you can create can range from something uncomplicated, like this one, or that monstrosity over there. And when you're finished, you can add even a name to your ship, maybe something you feel about the ship that you created. This builder also has something else I found really neat. Every time you add or remove something from the ship, the game tells you where the center of mass is located. This is represented by the little red triangle or an octagon when a piece isn't attached to the main chassis. This helps because now you know whether one side needs more thrusters. Once all the tinkering is done, you can just immediately test it out in the open world. The world that is created is randomly generated depending on what faction you choose from the start. The faction you choose also changes where you spawn at. This makes it so no two games are going to be the same. The area you roam around in consists of little sectors shown by the squares on the map. The color indicates who controls the area. If it's just black, then just no one is there. Plastered throughout the world are enemies, more enemies, plants, asteroids, and finally more enemies. Enemy factions are everywhere in this game, but that's not a bad thing. You're never really safe when you're exploring, or when you are, you're just not going through an area that has anyone in. Sometimes you'll even find abandoned stations around, and you can reactivate them by just staying near them for a while to gain extra credits and an extra spawn point. There are other things roaming around besides the factions. While exploring, you may find yourself near these red icons on the map. Those are called agents. Agents are just people who just attack everyone. They don't have an alignment. But here is the sweet thing. Agents are not only harder enemies, there are ships created by other players, not something that the devs made. It'll even show you who made it. Agents are also typically surrounded by other ships that were in the player's fleet at the time. When defeated, it will usually give a large sum of credits, usually about 1,000. The only weird thing about the agents is that the difficulty of them really varies. Like before I started recording footage, I witnessed a really well-made ship. And then when I went to check another one, it was just a piece of hull on a thruster. Lastly, there are also wormholes on the map. When near it, you get the option to either leave the map behind and start up a new map, or send your ship out into the multiverse and the wormhole will collapse. And when I mean multiverse, I mean the current ship and your fleet will become agents in someone else's game. So when you feel like your ship will actually, give another player a challenge, you can just go through it. Or you can just, put a piece of hull on a stick and just go on there. The soundtrack of the game is also really amazing. It's like FTL combined with Risk and Rain in a way. But there is still more to talk about besides the soundtrack. There are 2 other modes in the game besides the single player. First, there is the sandbox mode. This is where people can create ships with modified stats and abilities. Now, I haven't really tinkered much in this mode, but this is where people can just create large battles if they wanted to outside the single player. And the other mode is tournament mode. This is where you can create a ship within a specific P range and battle with other players. The only real difference is that an AI controls the ship rather than an actual person. Now, I haven't really played tournament mode yet, mostly because there wasn't any being played, but from the YouTube videos I looked at, it looks really fun, and I hope to actually join one someday. But now, if there was one flaw about the game, it would probably be the tutorial. Besides a few text boxes when loading into the map, all you get is that in the corner. Just words. I got so confused when it asked me to spawn a ship with a factory, because I couldn't find the factory. I know it sounds stupid, but I was so confused. If it was just changed a little bit to be clearer, that would be a good way to start the game off as a new player. All in all, it's clear that time and effort was put into Reassembly. The tight gameplay, the shipbuilding, the soundtrack, and the other modes all make this game into a wonderful way to pass the time. I got this game on sale, but if I had known that this game would be this good, I would have gladly waited for the sale to end in order to pay the full price for the game. Thank you for watching. Hi everyone, thank you for watching my first ever review. Jesus Christ, it was so time consuming, but I finally got it done. Anyway, in this instance, I don't really have another good video to put in here. So I'll link to other reviewers that are actually, good at what they do. Anyway, yeah, thank you all.